welcome to Dinesh SQL. My name is Dinesh Priyankara, Microsoft MVP and IT consultant. With this video, I'm going to talk about the methods we can use for tracking or extracting stats related to merge operation. So what is the merge operation? So merge operation is something we have been using for years with data warehousing projects, big data projects, even with standard data integration projects. It's all about updating the destination table, comparing with the source data. We check and see whether records are, let's say we get records from source table, and then we check and see whether these records are available with the destination. Okay, if records are available, you can update those records. Sometimes we check a condition and then update. If records are not exist, we perform insert operations. In certain cases, we perform delete operation as well. Okay. So that's what we do as a part of merge operation. But this video is not about merge operation. This video is all about extracting stats related to the merge. How many records were inserted? How many records were updated? You can check the number of records deleted as well. Okay, that's what we are going to talk about. And then the environment is Microsoft Fabric. Okay, we are going to check this with merge operation related to delta tables we have created in Microsoft Fabric lakehouses. Okay, so in certain cases I have seen let's say you use one method in let's say Azure Databricks. In certain cases I have seen that that particular method cannot be implemented or used in Fabric. You have to use different techniques. There are some differences between platform to platform. But the approaches or the methods I'm going to talk about can be simply used with almost all platforms. Okay, right. Now let me show you, the 6 methods I'm going to cover as a part of this video. So you can see 6 methods: reading last version, using timestamp, version, Python-tracked SQL, transaction annotation, and marker column. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover only first 3 with this video, because I don't want to make the video lengthy. And then the last 3 will be, added to the next video. So both videos are available. So if you go to the second video, you can see the codes related to 4th, 5th, and 6th. Okay, right. So see, all these methods, can be used, not an issue. All right. And, in certain cases, even though you can see that under accurate tracking, okay, you can see the third column, accurate tracking, I have mentioned it as prone to errors. So there can be a situation where you see wrong stat, but if you're not going to experience that situation, you can continue with the approach. I'm going to explain all these things with the codes. So the first one is all about reading the last version. So what we are going to do is we get the data table updated and then read the data related to last version from the log. Okay, you know that when it's come to data table, we have Parquet files. So whenever you make a change to your data, it adds a Parquet file. In addition to that, it maintains log files. Okay, for each and every change you perform, there will be a log file. So what we're going to do is we are going to read the last log or the last version related to your change log, and then get the stat extracted from that. That is really easy. You don't need to do much. You can easily get those information to a data frame, and then you can continue with the operation. So why we extract these stats? Most of the time we use them for checking and seeing whether everything has been extracted, everything has been processed, everything has been placed to the destination, or for auditing. So for various purposes, we extract this information. Okay. For in case of when it's come to my projects, I have simply recorded all these operations, and then I maintain all these stats. Okay, right. So the first method, that's really easy. But as you see, there can be a situation where you see wrong information. What I'm saying is, let's say you perform the merge operation, but there have been no inserts, there have been no updates, but you still see a number like, number of records inserted 10, number of records inserted, updated 5. Likewise, you'll be seeing some numbers even though there have been no updates, okay, in a specific situation. issues, right? So let's have a look on that as the first demo, right? The second one, you can see it's based on the timestamp. What we are going to do is we are going to record the date time before we perform the merge operation, and then use that for extracting operation data from the history or from the log. Okay. You have to write some codes in order to get the historical data from the log based on the timestamp you have created or generated. Okay, so you have to write some codes. It's not that hard, not that complex as well. That's why I have mentioned it as moderate. But you will see some issues with this as well in certain cases. Okay, specifically if you are going to perform this operation in concurrent manner, let's say multiple users perform the merge operations against the same table same time, then there can be some issues with second method. Third method is all about get this information based on the version. So what you're going to do is you track the version. So all the changes will be recorded with the version number. So you use the version number for getting these stats out, right? The implementation is not that hard, just like the second one. But still, we might get some wrong information on this, specifically when you see, concurrent operations. Okay. Other than that, you can use all these methods. Now, for example, if you're 100% sure that there won't be any concurrent operations against this data table, then second method, third method, you can simply use. No issues at all. Okay. Right. Now, fourth, fifth, sixth. Python-tracked SQL. With the fourth one, what we are going to do is we are going to use merge SQL statement, Spark SQL statement, and then we use Python for getting stats extracted from it. We are not going to read the log table. We'll be simply use the operation itself for getting those information. So implementation is easy. Okay, and this is accurate. You are not going to see any issues with this. You'll be always seeing the right values. And this works with concurrent operations as well. Okay, so this does not require any schema modification, or you don't need to query the delta table itself, right? So everything works really, really well. You can get the same thing done using transaction annotation as well. You can simply tag something to the transaction, and then you can use that tag for getting these stats extracted without going through the log history. Okay, that is also gives you the right result set, and there won't be any issues with concurrent operations. Okay, when you compare with fourth one, this is you had to write some codes, but again, it is not hard. I prefer the fourth one, but I have used both fourth and fifth one with my projects. Last one, I don't use it, but that's something you do if you really want to use the destination table itself for getting these stats. Okay, so what we do is we add a marker column to the destination table, and then add some information to those marker columns, and then use them for getting these stats like number of records inserted, number of records updated. It's a bit hard because you have to make changes to your destination table. And you might have to query the data table. Of course, you have to query the data table. So if the data table is really, really big, if you have billions of records, you might see some performance issues as well. So, we don't recommend the sixth method, but if you want, you can use it. So I'm going to talk about fourth, fifth, sixth one in detail with the next video, or the second video related to this. But let's have a look on first, second, and third one. If you want to try out all these things, and if you want to use the same code, refer the link that have been added to the description section. That's the GitHub repository link. So you can get the codes related to these three demonstrations from that GitHub repository. Okay, so let's start with the first one, read in the last version. All right, this is the environment. So I have created a workspace, and then I have a lake house as well. So lake house 00901, that's the name for this. I don't have tables in this lakehouse yet, but you can see I have created a folder called product. If I click on the product folder, I don't have any files. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a file that contains product data. Okay, I have 4 different files. So I'll show you what sort of records that have been added to these files. Okay, just to make sure that we go through certain cases and check and see whether we get the right stats. Okay, right. So the first thing is uploading the product file. Let me quickly upload the product file. We get the file. So I have 4 folders. I'm going to get this file first. You can see I have named as day one. Let's say this is the initial file we get for products. Okay, so we get this and we'll select this, upload. So the file is loaded. Okay, I should see the file, right? Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a data table. Let me go to this tab. This is the code for creating the data table. So if the table is exists, I'm going to drop it and then create the table based on the values or the columns I have in the CSV file. Okay, CSV file has no column called operation ID. Don't worry about that column. But we are creating this table with all these columns as a data table. So I have to attach the lake house. Let me click on plus lake house and then add the lake house. This is the one. Click on add. Lake house is reference. I'm going to execute this code now. So it will take 3 to 5 seconds for getting the Spark session started, and then this table will be created in this lake house. All right, now we have the table. If I refresh this, I should see the table. I can see the product delta table, but we don't have any records with it. Let's go to the first notebook. This is this notebook has been the codes have been written based on the first approach, reading the last version. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first read the CSV file. We need to add the lake house. Let me click on plus and then add the lake house. Okay. Now lakehouse is reference in this notebook. So I can use this path. Okay, since it is reference, I can use this path for accessing the product CSV file. So what I do is I read the path and then get the data read into a data frame. So let's execute this code. Right, so you can see the data in the CSV file. Okay, so we have columns like product ID, name, category, and things like that. In addition to that, there is a column called is modified. Since this is the initial file, we get true, or the one for all the records for this column is modified. If I scroll down, you can see there are 90 records. Okay, just remember this number. There are 90 records and all records have one for this column. Okay, and if I execute this select statement against the delta table we created, we should not see any records because it's a brand new table. We don't have any records in this table, but just to make sure that we don't see any records, I executed the code. All right, so no records. Right, let's continue. Now this is how you read or the perform merge operation. Okay, I have imported certain functions. I believe that everyone familiar with these packages related to Python. Okay, we use this operation ID with the last approach, so don't worry about it. Okay, you can see I get the product table into a Spark session. You can see delta table dot for path table slash product. That's how we refer the data table. Okay, now once the 9th line is executed, we have the destination table, data table. That's what I'm going to consider as a target. So before we execute or perform the merge operation, we check and see whether we have records in the loaded data frame, because that's a source. Okay, that's a CSV file. So that's what we check with number of records. If there are no records, we don't need to continue with the merge operation. If there are records, then we go for the merge operation. Okay, so as you see, we use the delta table we created as the target, and then the data frame and we extended that data frame. So now the name of the data frame is source with ID, and we consider that as a source. So what's a condition to be checked or satisfied? Product ID should be matched with the product ID. Target and the source product ID should be matched. Okay. So if there are let's say matching records, then we check and see whether is modified is equal to 1. If yes, then we'll be updating certain columns. Okay, don't worry about these columns or the values. Okay, and if there are no matches, then of course we insert records, right? That's what you see with the second part of the merge statement, right? Now let's execute this and see whether it works well. Right. So I can see the message file process. So which means there are records. Of course, there are records in the CSV file. As you see, it has gone through the merge operation. Okay. We should see records in the delta table now. Okay. Now, we don't need to read the delta table again. There are records in the delta table now. But let's see how we can extract stats now for this merge operation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the history related to delta table. So we can easily read by calling the history method, and then we can check the records. So if you really see the history data frame now, you can see 2 records. The first version number 0, that's for table creation. Second version number 1, that's for the merge operation we perform. So there are 2 versions. So remember this approach. This is all about reading the last version. So this is the method I have written. We check the history data frame, whether it has records or not. Okay. If there are no records, then of course we don't need to, read it. So if there are records, of course, now there are 2 records. So it goes to the second if condition. And then you can see sorting the data frame based on the version column, right? So it's going to be a descending order, and then we extract the first record by setting the limit to 1. So latest commit contains the last version, and then we get the row object, right? You simply call the collect method for getting the row object. So the commit info variable contains the row object, okay, the entire record. And then we know that there's a column called operation matrices. Even if I scroll right in the data frame, you can see operation matrix. Okay, that's the column we refer. So we get that column object loaded to the operation matrix variable. And after that, since it is a JSON, if I click on this, you can see the data. Okay, this is what we try to read now. What we do is basically we use get method because it's a JSON. We pass a value like num target rows inserted and rows updated, and we get the values. Right. So let's execute this and see whether it gives you it gives us a right data set. Yes, we see number of rows inserted 90. All good. Okay. Right. Now, let's continue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a new file and see whether, we see the right stat after the merge operation. So let me go to the lake house, upload the day 2 file. Done. And let's reload. So I'm going to execute this data loading code again. So you can see it has the same 90 records, but this time is modified is 0 for everything. So nothing has been modified, and all these records are already exist in the delta table. So which means there shouldn't be any insert operation. There shouldn't be any update operations as well, right? I'm not going to execute this one. Let's straight away execute the merge operation. It is getting executed. Done. File process, which means it has gone through the merge operation. And then let's read the history. No new version. These were the 2 versions we saw with the previous merge operation. So even though it has gone through the merge operation, there are no new log entries. in our data table, right? But if we continue with this method, and if I run this, I'll be seeing 94 number of rows inserted. This is where we see the problem with this approach. Okay, so if you get the same record set without any modification, with no new records, you will get the last recorded matrix or the stat, and then you will be recording this as the stat related to the current merge operation. Okay, so this is where we see the issue with this method. If you do not expect record set like that, let's say you are not getting the source data again if there are no modifications or no new records, this method works well. I'll quickly upload the third file as well. Third file contains some update. So it has the 3 modified records and then a few new records as well. Let's scroll up, load the record set. Okay, now you can see, 3 records have been updated. And if I scroll down, I can see new 10 records. Those are, completely new records. Right. Now let's perform the merge operation again. Let's see the message file process, which means it has gone through the merge operation. Let's see the history. We see the third version number 2. And if I execute this one, then it gives me the right stat. This time it gives me the right stat because it has gone through the merge operation. Okay, so you can see number of records inserted 10, updated 3, right? So we'll quickly upload the fourth file. Let me go back to the lake house. So the fourth file has no updates, but it contains all 100 records. Done. Let's see. Right, we have all the records. Each modify is 0 for everything. We have 100 records. Let's perform the merge operation. File process. Let's see the history. We should not see a new record. Yes, we still see 3 versions, but now it reached the last version. Even though we don't see any operations with last merge, it still gives stats related to the previous merge operation. Then of course you're seeing what? Wrong stats. Okay, right. So if you're 100% sure that you're not experiencing situations like that, you can use this method, and you can get these stats extracted using this method. All right. Okay, so let's see the second method now. All right, we are going to check on the timestamp one. So we are going to check and see whether we can get the right stats using this timestamp. Let's go to the notebook. First of all, let's get the table recreated. Let me execute this. Okay, so we have the table. Let's go to the notebook. So remember, this is all about tracking all these things using timestamp. Okay, so just like the previous time, okay, first thing I have to refer the lake house. So make sure that notebook has a reference to that. All done. Okay, so I can see the table as well. And I have to upload the file. Let me go to my lake house. Upload the file quickly from day 1. Product file. Done. So let's go to the notebook. So I'm going to execute this code now. Okay, so we see the same record set, 90 records, is modified 1 for all 90 records. Let's straight away go to the merge operation. So just like the previous one, only changes you can see, we declare a variable called start time. Okay, that's to record the current date and time. Okay, and then we continue with the same operation. We have the if condition for checking whether we have records coming from CSV files or not. And then if we get records, we perform the merge operation. No changes. Okay, it's just like the previous one. So let's execute this now. So I can see the message file process, which means it has gone through second condition or the else part. Okay. Now see this one. We are trying to filter the history based on the timestamp. So first thing is we have recorded the timestamp before the merge operation, so that has to be converted to a string. That's what we do with the first line, and then we use filter method for filtering the history based on the timestamp. So you can see timestamp greater than or equal to the recorded timestamp. So let me execute this. So I should see one record. There are two versions for this data table. One is for table creation and second one is for the merge operation. So since we have added a filter, we get the last version or the version 1 related to our operation. And if I scroll down, what I do is, it is same. I read the data frame, history data frame. If there are multiple records, then I'm trying to get the last record. That's what I do with the order by. Okay, and then get the row record, get the row loaded to the commit info, and then get the operation metrics column loaded to the operation metrics, and then read the values. So let's read it and see. Yeah, we see the right set. Let's quickly do the test with day 2, day 3, day 4 files. So I'm going to upload day 2 file now. So day 2 file contains no new records, no changes. So let's load the data to the data frame. You can see same 90 records is modified 0 for all the records. And then let's perform the merge operation. Okay, it has been processed, but don't worry about this error. Okay, it has been processed. So let's see the history. Let me execute this and see. Now no records. Okay, so we don't see any history. That because even though it has gone through the merge operation, no records have been updated or inserted. So because of that, log has not been updated. So we don't see any records in the history. If we use the same code for getting the stats, now we see number of rows inserted 0, number of rows updated 0. So we get the right stats. Okay, if I use this timestamp technique, we get the right stat. But there can be a situation where you see concurrent operations. So let's say while you're performing this, someone else perform some operations against this data table, same data table. In that case, when you try to get the history based on the timestamp, you might get the version related to the other person operation. Okay, and then if you use the same code for getting those stats extracted, you will be seeing wrong number of records for inserted and updated. So this method works really well if you do not see or if you do not expect any concurrent operations. Okay, but if you know that concurrent operation can happen against the same data table, do not use this method. We can quickly check on other two files as well. Let's go to the lake house, at day 3 file, which has updates. Let's go to the code, load the data frame. I can see a few modified records and 10 new records. Let's perform the merge operation. Done. Okay. Let's check for the history. Now we see a new record. Okay. So that is where the merge operation we just perform, and we will be getting the right values. 10 inserts, 10 updates. We can check with the fourth file as well. So if I upload the fourth file, day 4 file, which has all 100 records with no updates. Let's get the data frame loaded. See, all 100 records, but no updates. And let's perform the merge operation. And let's check for the history. We should not see any record, right? So no records. So this worked really well. Okay, we should see 0 for everything, right? Only issue is concurrent operations. So if there are concurrent operations like the same table, then we might see wrong stats for number of records inserted and updated. Right, let's check the third method now. So the next method is, tracking the version, current version, and then perform the operation, and then, try to get the next version data and extract stats. Okay, that's what we are going to do with the third demo. Let's open the notebook and see. Okay, I have already, dropped the product table and recreated just to make sure that we save the time. So let's go to the a notebook. But before that, let me quickly upload the day one product file. Done. Okay, now we have the, the initial product file in the lakehouse. Right. We need to make sure we have a reference for the lakehouse. Let's do it. All good. So just like the previous method, we'll be loading the CSV file data to the data frame. So we should see 90 records, and 1 for each modified column for all the records. Okay, so we see all 90 records, and let's see the merge operation. So when it's come to merge operation, it is same. We check the check whether there are records. If there are records, then we execute the merge operation. But see line number 10. Okay, we read the history of the log, delta table log, and then get the last version recorded. Okay, that's a change we have added to this code now. So we have the last version or the update version of this delta table, and we hold that value in the start version variable. Okay, so let's execute the code, and we should see file process message. Okay, done. So let's check the next code. So this is just like the previous one. We are filtering the history based on the versions. We have the start version. Let's say the last version of this delta table is 10. Okay, so we are checking for versions greater than 10. That's what we do with this cell. So let's execute. We should see one record with this now. Yeah, we see. So remember, there are two versions, 0 for create table, 1 for merge operation. So, based on start version variable, we get version 1, which is merge operation. And then just like the previous time, we read the operation metrics column and then read target rows inserted and updated. So we get the right value. Okay, so no issue with this. Let's quickly upload the second file, day2 file, and then perform the same and see. So let me go to the day2 file, select the file, upload. It is getting uploaded. Done. Let me reload the data frame. This is getting reloaded. All good. No changes. 90 records. Okay, so let's execute the merge operation. Okay, done. And let's see the history. We don't see any records for this. Okay, because the start version is now 1. Okay, and since there are no modified records, so no new records, nothing has been written to the log. Okay, so because of that, there are no other versions greater than 1, right? So if we execute this, we don't get values for inserted and updated, which is correct. Okay, so this works well, but we'll be seeing the same issue just like the one we saw with the previous one. If there are concurrent operations, okay, then we might get stats related to the other person's operations. That's the only issue with this method. So both timestamp and version method gives you the accurate results. Okay, but only issue is concurrent operations. So if you expect concurrent operations, don't try to use these two methods. Otherwise you can select or you can use one of these methods. Okay, so let's quickly check with other three files. Let me go to the lakehouse, upload the third day product file. Done. And let's execute, load the data. So there are 3 modification and 10 records, 10 new records. Let's execute the merge operation. Right, file process, And then let's check for the version. Yes, now we see an operation that because there were changes, right? Let's see what are the changes. 10 new records and 3 updates. So this works really well. Let's do the last test on this day 4 file. Let me get it. So this has 100 records with no new records, no modified records. Let's load the data frame. All 100 records with is modified 0. Let's perform the operation. And then let's check for the versions. So no version, all good. So this works really well. But remember, if you expect concurrent operations against this data table, then don't use this method. All right, first 3 have been discussed. You know whether you can use it or you should not use it, right? So you decide whether you can use method 1, 2, 3. It's up to you, okay? So I'm not going to discuss next set of methods with this video. Go for the second video and then see the codes for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Okay, so all the codes are available in the GitHub repository. Check the description. You can see the link. All right. So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.